Okay, this will help you a lot. Will help you a lot. I'm just going to say this off the top of my head, but if you can understand, if you can do what I'm saying, it'll help you. So, if you've ever done this, then you may understand what I'm talking about. But I've seen people that used to be drug addicts that are depressed now. So, which I have never really done drugs. But I can tell you the scientific aspect of it that you may not know. Okay? So, when you do drugs, have you ever heard you'll destroy your dopamine receptors, and then after a while, you won't be able to produce them anymore? You ever hear that? Well, look, I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I believe it. But anyways, though, so how to regain, see, this is what you've never heard, is that you can regain your dopamine receptors. You used to do drugs, and now you don't, and you feel depressed. Well, here's why. Because when you do drugs, let's pretend you have dopamine receptors produce dopamines. I don't know why they call them receptors. Well, I know why. Because they receive whatever you eat or do so that they can turn them into dopamines. Okay, so here's what you do. If you used to be a drug addict, now you can't be anymore, so you're not, and you feel depressed. So what happens is, let's say you have 5 different dopamine receptors, which I'm sure you have a lot more than that, but let's say you have 5, okay? So when you do drugs, you are setting off 2 of those, okay? 2 of those. Okay, so we'll say 3. You're setting off 3 of those, which there's more to this, but you're setting off 3 of them, right? Sexual excitement, joy, and we'll say happiness. I don't know. Okay. So you're setting off those 3 and you have 5, okay? So what happens is these 2 go away. They can be recovered, but as for now, they're gone because you're on drugs. And the longer you're on drugs, the further they go away. Okay? So, why do they go away? Well, have you ever heard the term, if you don't use it, you lose it? If I don't work out, I can't keep my muscles strong, right? It's the same thing with dopamine receptors. Okay, so those 3, sex, happiness, joy, are really high. But what are you doing? Think, my friend. Think. You don't even have to think. You don't have to remember what you were doing when you were high. I know what you were doing. You weren't sleeping and you weren't eating. Those give you joy. They give you dopamines. So, what happens is, those 2 that went away were, they went away. So now what happens is, when you eat and when you sleep, you're not doing drugs, so those 3 are not as high. Okay? But when you eat and when you sleep, it does not bring you joy. Because you have not destroyed, you shouldn't use the word destroyed, that's what they use, but those have gone away. Now, if you know anything about the brain, the longer you do something, the more it makes you happy. Right? Like if I eat sugar, I read this in a magazine, if I continue to eat sugar, then whenever I eat sugar, my dopamine receptors will go off big time. That's why I crave sugar. Okay? So you're not doing drugs. Okay, the point is, the more you do it, the more your brain responds to it. Now are you getting what I'm saying? So these two, sleeping and eating, are very far away. And the longer you did drugs, the farther away they are. So you sit here and look at people. How can that motherfucker just go to work and eat and sleep and still function? How can he fucking, and you feel sorry for him and all this bullshit. You're like, how the fuck can that motherfucker stop from slitting his wrist? Because his two dopamine receptors are still there. That's it. I could get deeper, but that's it. So now that you're not doing drugs, which I don't fully understand this, I'm not a doctor, but I do read a lot. And I did read this. And it took me a long time to read this because I wanted to help people that had done drugs. So if you start sleeping and eating, which I'm not saying take some drug to help you sleep, but sleep and eat. They have melatonin. Melatonin is the natural chemical that your brain produces to make you sleep. I don't know if it's good to take that or not, but I don't know. So anyways, though, and you better give me a like or subscribe because I'm telling you some shit that I probably shouldn't be telling you, because the reason why, I'm not get into that, but you messed up your own life. Okay? I got my own life to worry about too. So if you start to eat and sleep more, I don't care how much you don't like eating, keep sleeping. You can turn into a normal person. The longer you did drugs, the longer it will take. But continue to do it. Continue to do it. Use your brain. Get up right now and walk to your refrigerator. If you didn't know how to walk, you wouldn't get there, would you? Did it take effort to walk to that refrigerator? Yes. Okay, now grab a bottle of orange juice and drink the whole thing fast as you can. If you're a drug user, you won't understand this, but let's say you get up and you walk to the end of the street to get some heroin or whatever. You do that. It took effort to get up and do it, right? But now you're happy. Okay? The normal people, it takes effort to get up and go to the refrigerator, but now they're happy. See what I'm saying? Let's say you're doing drugs and you don't even know how to do them. How can it make you happy? So there you go. That is how to make yourself a normal person. Again. Okay? So don't think that there's not hope. There is hope. I'm telling you. I have a friend, he's never done drugs his whole life, and he says when he eats, he freaking flies to the moon. Okay, and from what I read, different dopamine receptors want to make you do different things. So if you don't want to get in trouble again, don't do drugs again. Because if you do drugs again, you're going to want to do things that are illegal. There are social norms. Normal people don't do drugs. Normal people go out to restaurants and they're sitting there laughing because they're so happy because they're eating and it's boosting their dopamines through the roof. Bad people don't go to prison. Abnormal people go to prison. Happy people don't go to prison. Abnormal people go to prison. I could be perfectly depressed and go punch my neighbor and wind up in prison. It's because of what I want to do. I wish everybody would understand that. So, I don't know. So, there's my little self-help tip for people who have used drugs and are now off of it and depressed. Okay, so, one thing I do know, use it or lose it.